Let's go. It is January 30th, 2024, and welcome back to another episode of the LA Poker Roundup. I am your host, Ty Dobberton, along with my co-host, Derek Kwan.
What's up, everyone?
Hey, so this week we are dead in the middle in the throes of LAPC. I don't know about you, but I'm actually starting to get a little tired. I'm kind of happy that we're almost up on the rest day. But we are going to go over the results from last week at LAPC at Commerce.
And we're going to give our impressions of how LAPC is going so far.
Yeah, lots of thoughts. We're about at the halfway mark. Got lots of feelings on it. So after that, we're gonna take a look. If you've been out on the Twitter streets and you've been following us, you might have noticed it looks like Derek's caught himself a little fever, a little Remington trophy fever, and he's hot. He's got to get one. So we're gonna talk about that.
I've always had the fever, except this is getting a little worse now.
He's getting so close; it's getting bad, guys.
And next on the rumor mill, there was a theft at the Wynn, and it involved a pretty, high tier poker player.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. And then we're gonna go over a little Twitter feud that's been going on between Mr. Matt Berkey and, well, mostly Matt Berkey, but pointed at Jonathan Little. And was there a little instant karma right afterwards? Some little justice in the universe? We'll see.
And we got a little PSA for a giveaway for some main event seats for women.
Yeah, so ladies, if you don't know about this, definitely stay tuned and take a look at this information. After that, there's a little poll out by Poker Go wondering if rabbit hunting should be allowed. And, we're going to talk about that and see what other things might be out there. Would this make poker more fun? What other stuff can we do? Should we even do this? I don't know. We'll put our opinions out there.
And then lastly, we'll wrap up with our weekly roundup as always.
All right, let's get going. We have so many events from the LAPC, so many trophies. I mean, they're just giving these things out, Derek. It's hard to not get one. Let's take a look, though. Let's take a look. So last week, the Pot Limit Omaha 8 event, the $500 one from, I believe this was from Tuesday. So this is event number 17. Congratulations to Volodymyr Kondratenko. He was the winner, and it looks to me like there was no chop. So congratulations to Volodymyr. Second place here, we've got Benet Karp. We got Jake Libeskind, Randall Holland, and it looks like Ari Engels rounding out our top 5 there. And the other week, I kind of mentioned I wonder if Allen's going to come. Kessler's going to come to town. If Ari's going to come to town for all these mixed events. Well, it looks like Ari's here and he's playing, so he's got himself a cash.
Nice. Well,
right.
Congratulations, Volodymyr, and all the other final tablists.
So the one-day event from that day, number 18, the $250 event, saw Wei Xiang Zhao take down the trophy. So congratulations. There's 130 people in that tournament. The prize pool got up to 26,000. I believe those are, what were those afternoons? Those are only 10Ks, I believe. So they killed the guarantee in that, if that's the case. So congratulations to Wei Xiang. In second place here, we have Haik Yegian, Jonathan Graham, Efren Santos, William Glasser, and David Phillips rounding out the top 6 there. I know we kind of mentioned it before, but just to point it out, I see down here in the cash area, down here in 12, Ryan Salunga. I don't know if you got to meet him last weekend while you were playing, Derek, but I saw him over in the Bounty event with you. If not, I'll have to point him out to you next time so you know, because he's that boy is grinding.
Yeah, man, he's in every one of these. Yeah, crazy. I feel like maybe I've never played with him before. It's kind of odd.
He was not at your table, but he was close to you. So I'll have to point him out to you.
Yeah.
He's everywhere.
Proximity. He was in proximity.
So then the next event they had there was the $500 Big O. The champion here was Michael Perlmutter. So congratulations, Michael. He gets the Remington in the 5-card event. I didn't even know they were having those. That's awesome. Second place was
Nice.
Hiyu Liu, and then Ryan Tanaka, Frank Inglese, and then Jeffrey Downs, and then number 6 was Ari Engel again.
Mr. Engel. And also looks like Volodymyr took 7th in this event, and just won the other ones. So
Yep.
Yeah, nice.
So we have some
Mr. Engel's
here.
Really. Looks like Kathy Chang also number 9.
Oh, there we go.
Call out for her. She's another reg. Plays a lot of mixed events. Good player.
Yeah, and all these guys hitting these cashes. And as we mentioned, I think before, they do have a player of the series. We will hit on that at the end. And these mixed game events are built for it because everyone who cashes gets points all the way down to 18, and this is only 10. So if you cashed, you got points.
I feel like a mixed game winner is going to win this Player of the Series, man.
It almost has to. Almost has to. Either that or you
Yeah.
have to be grinding these 250s so hard.
Because I mean, it's so hard to just constantly find tables 250s. Right? There's such high variance.
Yeah,
I feel like it's going to be a
absolutely.
mixed game player.
Speaking of 250s, though, the next one here, number event 20, saw 172 entries. So this prize pool got up to 34,000, and the winner was Edward Cruz. Looking pretty cool in his all black and his shades there. Congratulations, Edward.
Nice job.
Rounding out the top of this tournament, we had Edward Cruz, then Gary Simpson, Marco Jace Cade, David Muscheni, Benjamin Landaverde, and Rodolfo Olmos rounding out the top 6 there. So congrats. It looks to me like there was a chop here, probably in the top, if not the top 6, maybe the top 5, but it looks like they chopped near the top of this guy, which makes sense in these more turbo events.
Looks like a David Phillips at number 10 again. I'm trying to pattern recognize all the mixed game players who keep final table or getting there. But
I think we know that.
Franklin in chat immediately with a needle. Remington for sale. Anyone? I feel like it's going to be one of these episodes.
It doesn't count if you buy it that way, right? All right. So
No,
event 21, we have a familiar face taking down the trophy here.
Congratulations, Mr. Adam Kipnis. He's a good friend of mine. So actually, Adam and I have known each other for a real long time. We were co-workers at Yahoo 17 years ago or something like that. And it's interesting because I don't really remember the entire order of operations or order of events, but I feel like Adam was potentially the reason why I got into poker. I think he was the one who actually dragged me to start playing some cash games like 1-2 at the bike with him. And I may have been playing for fun and home games and things like that, but not really taking it seriously. So I think he was the first one that actually got me going to casinos. And then from there, we both just kind of went separate paths with me with No Limit and him with mixed games. Always been a really good player, but a really good friend of mine. So congrats to him. And speaking of imposter syndrome, like we talked about last week, I was texting him, and he was like, "Oh, last episode, you're talking about me like a mixed game crusher. I'm not a mixed game crusher," and I was like imposter syndrome. And then literally the next day, he won the tournament. So, all you people with the imposter syndrome out there, man. But congrats, buddy.
Yep. Believe in yourself. Keep working hard. Keep studying. Keep grinding, and you too can get a Remington. Derek, you listening? You just keep working hard, keep grinding.
Remington's like a trigger now.
All right. Rounding out the top of this tournament, after Adam was Louis Werman, and then Jesse Knight, Gabriel Villanueva, and then Kathy Chang, number 5.
Kathy Chang, here it is again. Kathy, another good player.
Very consistent. I think I might be wrong, but I thought I saw her mentioning Stake King, so if I can buy a piece of Kathy in these mixed game events, I might have to do that.
Maybe.
I think I'm missing out.
Yeah, maybe.
The 250 event for that day saw another 173 players, and taking this down was Saul Romero. Looks like
Congrats, buddy.
Yep, looks like they chopped it top 5. So congratulations, Saul, getting that Remington. Rounding out,
definitely a familiar face. I don't think I played with him, but I've seen him around.
I played with him a bunch of times.
Nice.
Seemed to, I don't know why. I seem to get put at his day one table a disproportionate amount of the time.
Well, look at this 250
look at the
final
top, right?
table.
I was gonna say that. Look at the names here at the top. So chopping in the top chop 5 for top money. The top 4 had the same money. That was Saul, followed by Mike Escondieri, our recent seniors or super seniors bracelet winner. I think it was seniors. And then Wissam Gashan, Andres Gutierrez, and then Edgar Harutionian. But then number 6, we have Sean Yu.
Sean Yu. And then look at number 8, Mike Nia. Yep. I mean, this is...
Number 8, Mike Nia. And actually, I know number 9, Eric Nistel. That's a name I know from some home games around, so that's good to see him out in the tournament streets. And so
Flock win on number 12. Just what a 250.
Yeah, what a 250 indeed. So that was event 22.
Yeah. We got Franklin in chat. Fun fact, I won my first Remington in LAPC's final event of Big Bounty without winning a single bounty. You know what? You might be upset getting to the final table with no bounties, but then when you ship that Remington, man, it don't matter.
Wait, that means you chopped, Frank. You didn't really win that. I don't know. Or did you got bounties after you got to the final table? That must be it. So that's awesome. Also, I noticed he slipped in the word first there, Derek.
Yeah, he has multiple. I think
yeah.
he already needled me, me on Twitter.
Yeah, he's got extras. That's why he's trying to sell them. I do hear once you have a couple, if you don't have a big lawn, there's really not much you can do with them.
Yeah.
So then here's event 23. This was the $1,100 PLO 8 event. This was actually scheduled to be a 2-day event, I believe, but I think they finished it in 1 day because they were only able to get 35 entries. So only 35 entries, but still a nice score here. Congratulations to George Parublev taking down first place. And I think it looks like the top two chopped, if you ask me. Second place was Todd Bren, and then Randy Gonzalez Jr., Kathy Chang, number 4. And then
Kathy Chang, man, you're missing out with that Stake Kings thing.
I know. If I knew, I would definitely. I think I definitely should have bought a package because I haven't been doing so well this series myself so far. So it'd be nice to get a little back somehow. And then rounding out the top 5 here in the money was King Hai Pan. So congratulations, congrats, George. So that rounds out. Oh well. So unfortunately, they haven't put up the results for Sunday and Monday on the website yet. So the most I could do was find this. We have the Sunday event, which I played. I did not cash this time, but here is the final table, and they do call out some names. Tony Denove, another bracelet winner. Rob Gill, see him all over the place. Elvin Bayo, and if you recognize any of the other faces, here's some pictures from the final table. So
yeah.
I do recognize some of these other guys. I do not know his name, but I do play with the guy in the headphones at the end here all the time.
Yeah, he's in a lot of events, but Tony and Rob are definitely coming over and needling me while I was playing the other 250.
Really? Oh yeah, massive Rob. And this man here, I should know his name. The guy in the lucky hat. I do believe that's the man who got second place in the Gardens tournament that I won in Mora Day last year. So congrats to all those guys. I'm not sure who won. I can tell you, I believe Rob got 4th place. So he did not win, unfortunately. And I kind of feel like I helped out at this table a little bit because I did bust out to Tony here. When there were about 90 people left, I ran my ace king right into his aces and donated a stack to him. So, it's good to see my chips going to good use. Once again, a buddy stacks me and goes on to at least the final table. So, if you ever stack me, you better win. That's all. So my money's on Tony having won this, now that I actually think about it. Someone stacks me like that, they always win, right?
Yeah.
So the other big event, of course, from the weekend. Now we don't have results from the other ones. Derek will fill us in a little bit on what happened in the evening flight when we get around to talking about our weekends, but we don't have those results posted, so I won't spoil that just yet. But we do have results from the big Bounty Multiplier. Congratulations, Mark Spitaleri. He won it outright. They played all the way until around 2 in the morning. He took home the whole thing. He got 8 bounties, taking home a grand total of $108,000. A new high score for Mark. Really proud of Mark. Mark actually got 4th place in that tournament from Memorial Day last year with me, and that was his prior high score. So it was actually a really good day for people who final tabled that thing. I know one of the guy who got 3rd place also was in the money in this Bounty Multiplier with you guys. I think he finished maybe in the 30s. That would have been Cheng Cheng. So congratulations to Mark. We don't have the rundown of the whole caching list, but what was nice was that on that day we had Kevin doing coverage for Commerce for they're going to be setting up a blog, but for the Twitter feed and for the Facebook apparently.
It was awesome to have him back.
Yep. So we have all of this great coverage here that I'm going to zip through a little bit, but it was fantastic to get all this coverage. If you guys saw all this coverage and you appreciate it, make sure you let them know. Make sure you tell Commerce and get the feedback back to them to let them know how much we appreciate seeing this. The counts from final 45, right?
And give those tweets some likes,
Yep, absolutely.
Especially if you're reading it and you're scrolling past, give it a like.
Yeah, so get in here, let them know. They will tell us. So let's just run through. We can pull some of the results from here, even though they're not posted. So the day 2 eliminations here, we see some. Here's Derek. I'm 38th. Oh, I will definitely bring that tweet up too when we get around to our day. So Derek with his magical number 38, which he wishes was not that number. He should have got to the restaurant earlier.
That's crazy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I also want to talk about Adam. I want to talk about Adam Swan's hand.
Okay.
You're the one that he. Oh my God, that was unbelievable.
Okay. And then here we see Ryan Salunga. He busted in 28th. As I was saying here, Chen Cheng, 34th. Up here, Sean Yu. Oh, Sean Yu made it further than that. So let's see some more bust outs up here, some more notable names. We have some other names we are pretty familiar with. Fausto going out in 16th. Sean Yu went out in 15th. Andy Garcia went out in 17th. And Alex Xander Stone in 13th. And actually, Xander busted Fausto, which is kind of funny because he just started taking some coaching from him. So that's pretty funny.
And I took a picture of Xander and put it up on Twitter to kind of needle him a little bit about his imposter syndrome. Because I mean, how much more success you need to have, buddy?
I know, right? It's the guy's down on his game and suddenly just picks up like 13 grand. Yeah. No problem.
We got Adam the champion in our chat. Kevin is awesome, good guy at the tables too, for sure.
Yep, for sure.
Welcome, Adam. And we just covered you. I don't know if you caught that, but Frank also said 3-hand since I still didn't get a bounty. I made a great suggestion just to keep our own bounties. Then 2 hands later, I busted Jesse Yaganuma. Very, very good player, Jesse. But yeah, nice. Yeah, I think that makes sense. A lot of times I think at the bounty tournaments, when bounties are so small relative to the prizes that people just kind of, do something with it,
if it's a flat bounty, if it's especially if it's a traditional bounty, but if I'm the chip leader in the multiplier or mystery bounty, I'm not letting people take the bounties back.
I actually think if I was a final table, I wouldn't let people take the bounties back. Because I think it'd still be fun to get a bounty for knocking people out, even if it's small.
Yeah. So we can go through the top 9. Let's quick round out the top 9 and let's go through those results. So Kai Shimaguchi was eliminated in 9th place. I believe he was one of the top 3-ish stacks going into the day. An interesting thing about this tournament, I believe the top 5 stacks did really well. I think 3 of the top 5 or 6 stacks made it all the way to the final table.
Nice.
And I believe actually second place.
We talked about this before.
Yeah. I think second place was actually the chip leader going into the day.
We talked about this before. It is very hard to be in the top 5 or 6 and then make it all the way to the final table. So a lot of times just carrying that big stack into day 2 helps, but it doesn't guarantee you anything. So you have to play pretty good to make it all the way to the final table with a big stack even. Yeah,
it was such kind of a unusual result. I wonder if the format had something to do with it, to be honest. So Kai got 9th place. Congratulations there. Daniel Cabrera was out in 8th place, so congratulations to Daniel. Let's see. David Aklian was eliminated in 7th.
I think he busted me. I don't remember actually who busted me. It was just a whirlwind, but anyway.
James Cilio was out in 6th place.
James actually was the one who played that hand with Adam Swan that I'll talk about a little bit later. And James also gave a shout out to LA Poker Roundup to me while I was at the table. So thanks for that, James.
Awesome. And it's always great to, we really love it when someone I didn't expect or someone I haven't met yet, which is getting fewer and fewer, comes up and tells us they appreciate the show. We really love that.
We also got Xander in chat. Was stoked to have a deep run so close to the final table next time. So Xander, I'm not sure if you just joined and you missed me needling you a little bit about your imposter syndrome, how you just keep having so much success in poker. But definitely go back and watch our shout out. But welcome.
Yep, Adam, definitely head on back. We now know, I now know if Lisa ever needs to blame someone for Derek's poker play, we know who the culprit is.
Adam, I actually think you're the one who made me start playing poker. I think you're the first one to start dragging me to the casino to play cash games, if I remember everything correctly.
So back to the final table here. Jonathan Bowers was eliminated in 5th. I believe he entered the final table as the chip leader, so he made it to 5th
Jonathan's
place.
Jonathan's a good player. I played with him a bunch of times before.
Okay. I think I've only played him a couple times, not too frequently. Andy Fan was out in 4th place. So here after 1 o'clock, it was still 3-handed here. So then Dan Georges went out in 3rd place. So congratulations.
Yeah, he's been around for. I used to play cash games with this guy way back when I was grinding cash games 5-10 at the bike. This guy was also grinding, the high stakes at the time, I guess. So cool to see him, resurging here in tournament poker.
Very cool. Yeah, I feel like this is becoming a common trend. A lot of the fellas you used to play with, a lot of people moving over to tournaments. I mean, it's just so good over here, guys. I mean, there's just so much opportunity. And then in 2nd place, Sebastian Coleman, and they actually spelled his name wrong, assuming it's spelled correctly in Hendon, because I was trying to look for him, and Sebastian actually just spells it IN. But Sebastian Coleman, 2nd place for 76,000. So congratulations, that is quite a nice score for a $600 buy-in. Now, Sebastian has been having a pretty good year. I checked out, Mark, this was his high score, so that's awesome. Way to go. And Sebastian, this is not his high score. It's close. Last year, though, he finished fifth place in the Mini Mega Millions 3 in Big Poker October. So just last October, he had a nice score, and he cashed the main event last year as well. So he's on a nice little run this last year.
Yeah, he was at my table briefly earlier before we broke and went to another table, and he definitely had. I mean, I think he's a pretty good player, but he had some ridiculous sun run for like about 10 hands. Pretty crazy.
I mean,
but
in
he
a long
obviously
tournament,
took
right?
it.
You gotta get one and have
Yeah,
it.
but he obviously took that chip stack and took it all the way. So good for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So one other thing is, so those are all the results that they have up, including the player of the series, which is updated up to that event. So the player of the series, Derek, you talked about it the other week. It's now, it's been official. We have results up. You want to talk a little bit about how this works?
Yeah, so it looks like for the player of the series, and if you actually go to the commerce site where they have all the results and everything, you'll see a player of the series at the top, and you click the structure. It tells you basically how many points you get for specific places. But generally, what's happening is that you get paid, or you basically get player of the series points for finishing top 18 and in the money. So that means that if they're paying 19 places, you get points for finishing in the top 18. If they pay 17 places, you get paid for finishing in the top 17. And this is how the distribution works. I don't think there's any kind of weighting for bigger events versus smaller events, which maybe there should have been. But you get 50 points for first, 45 points for second, and you can also see the cool prizes there: 10K main event seat and a trophy, and then also some 10K main event seats, and then some 400 seats as well.
Yeah, there's definitely was a lot of debate and some strong opinions flying around the room last weekend about whether the bigger events should be weighted or not. And I think there's definitely a strong argument that you should weight the bigger events. However,
Yeah.
I think I see what they're doing with this, right? It seems pretty transparent that the goal of this is to promote the smaller events and the one-day events and those mixed game events, right? So
It is.
that is,
It is.
if that's your
Yeah.
goal, if that's your goal, then this is a pretty good structure. I
It
mean,
is.
if you want to win this thing, play the smallest events they have, therefore increasing the size of their small events, right? So,
Yeah.
I see what they're doing. I think I agree that if you want to really, like, maybe you should call it something different, or maybe you should have just called it, the mixed game or the daily thing or whatever.
The mixed game award.
Yeah, like the
We
mixed
got a
game
lot of
player of the
stuff.
series, something like that, or just the one day player of the series, and then just not include any of these big events. I don't know, but
Right.
but no, I see what they're doing.
We got
Yeah,
a-
I appreciate that they're doing anything at all. Honestly, I'll never win this because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't play that many one days. I can't go during the week.
I don't
but
know,
I
man.
still like this.
I'm probably in the top 15ish right now, just because of that one second place finish. So you never know.
Well,
man.
so
Like
I
the
think
first and
it looks like what you should have. You should have 40 points for second place. I think. No, 45 points for second
45.
place, and then you finished
Plus-
ninth the other week, right?
yeah,
So
which was
that's 17.
So I got
that's
40.
50.
Yeah.
Was that 62? And then you just
Yeah.
did you have any other top 18 finishes?
Not top 18, but yeah, that puts me up probably in a top 15ish
Okay,
or
so
so.
that's 52 points. So that should put you, according as of this list, that would have put you in the
Yeah.
top 20. Now,
I think,
there
but
are
I think
two more
Ari
events.
already, like hit 2 final tables or something, so he's probably way ahead now. But anyways,
Well, this is
we got
all
a
the
lot of
results
stuff happening
except
in.
for this is all the
Yep.
results that we just talked through. So then there's just 2 more
Oh,
days
okay.
worth that Sunday,
Okay.
Monday, and today's events are not in here.
Yeah.
So
I should be there. So there's a whole bunch of stuff happening in chat. So let's just go to chat real quick.
Okay.
So you got Xander saying James is a solid player, solid tag style. Yeah, I played with James a bunch of times. He's a pretty solid player. Not Quant's full is the best poker vlog. Thank you, buddy. Later for the rest. Yeah, my latest vlog is taking really long time to do because I went and did I'm doing like text to or speech to text, and I downloaded these poker graphics, and it's taking me forever to edit it, but hopefully I'll get it out this week. But thank you for the shout out.
Sounds to me like you're
Adam
looking to
Kip-
hire a poker editor. I don't know.
I just, yeah. If you ever win a couple events, I can afford it. Adam Kipnis, good old days. I've regretted ever since. Jealous of how good Derek got it. No limit hold'em. Thank you, Adam. So I think you were the one who started getting me into it. But you and I were working real hard at our games back then. Sabman83, thank you for getting my name. So this looks like it
That must be Sebastian, yeah.
Yeah, this must be Sebastian. What's up, Sebastian? Welcome to the chat.
Yep. Glad to see you in
Yeah.
here. Congratulations.
Yeah,
Xander.
Adam Moore.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, Adam structure heavily favors. Yeah, I really do think that it is going to be a mixed game player that's going to ship this. I'm going to do my best to, whatever 4 or 5 events that I'm going to play for the rest of the series to try to final table all of them and then take it away from a mixed game player. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Um,
You're 2 for 2 on the Sunday one days, right? The Sunday night one days.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I
Maybe
think
that's
we
just
found your
Brian knows.
niche.
Yeah, Adam, it was better when they had 3. Yeah, they had like different ones before, like mixed, no limit overall. But obviously, I think with LAPC just kind of resurging right now, I'm just glad that we have anything at all.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
and then with what Xander's saying over here, excited to get a Remington trophy before Derek does. I just want a winner's side bet. Man, you're gonna make me. I'm gonna
You're
come
gonna
at
have
this
to
real
you're
hard.
gonna have to
Because,
start going to the
yeah,
dailies,
yeah,
man. So on that topic,
yeah.
let's bring up this tweet by Derek. So Derek, as I said, these are the tweets here that kind of tipped off how trophy hungry he is. Look at this man. So Derek, why don't you tell us about your Saturday night tournament? Why don't we start with that, and you can talk about what happened when you got to the top 4.
Yeah. So after busting in 38th place in the bounty, I decided to actually, I walked up to you, Ty, and I was like, should I jump into this
Oh yeah,
tournament? And you were like, yeah, you should go
snap
trophy
yes.
hunter. And I was like, all right, fine. So I said, fine. So I'm just gonna go jump in and play. And it was a
I
little bit
also
up and
said
down.
I'll
I
take
don't think
10%, didn't I?
is that what you said?
No, no.
I don't remember that.
should have.
We didn't write it. We didn't write it down.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, it was it's these. I'm gonna say these like one days even for like a 5 p.m. start. It wasn't like that crazily structured. I didn't feel like super turbo-y, right? It was definitely a turbo, but it just still felt like pretty well structured. To be honest with you, I wasn't running particularly good or bad. It was just sort of even for like the entire time. Then getting close to the final table, I had a couple of pretty good hands where I was able to chip up. And then when we made the final table, I was able to get all the way to second place. All the final table players were actually like pretty decent. I surprisingly, the thing that kind of triggered this is that when we got down to so first, when we were at 6, somebody asked to if we wanted to look at numbers. Before I could even respond, this other player who I've now played with a bunch of times, he just started kind of showing with LAPC, I think. Seems like also a pretty good player. He said he didn't want to chop, and I was like, fine, you just take the run bet after saying something like that, because as soon as you say you don't chop, you're going to be the next one that busts, and that's actually what happened to me. Actually busted kind of on a bad beat. But then when we got down to 4, they asked again, and they were like, hey, do you guys want to look at numbers? And that's when I said no, because there's a trophy and I'm going for the trophy. And then all of them said there's a trophy. Like literally these players had played up to this point without realizing that there was a trophy associated with this. And at that point, they're all like, oh no, actually, yeah, we want the trophy too, so we don't want to chop anymore. But I really do think like, I mean, I don't know, man. Like how many players would have been coming out for these if they knew there was
That's
a
what
trophy?
I was about to say. Like, forget player of the series. Just make sure everyone knows you win a trophy for everything, for all the
like,
dailies.
Every single event except for satellites, right? Or you're gonna get a trophy. So any case, I ended up busting second. So,
However, if you get a trophy before Derek, he's going to murder you in the face.
I am going to murder you in the face.
So you may want to be careful about that. Just a PSA there, just warning.
Yeah, it was actually fun, just getting all the way down there. And like I said, it wasn't that bad of a structure that it felt like super tight. But there was a lot of play at the final table.
Yeah.
And it's probably just because that there wasn't as many people that registered, but it was pretty well structured.
Well, let's talk about structures. Let's talk about structures a little bit. Yeah. So that one, how many big blinds were you about throughout the final table? Would you say average?
It was. It was, you know what? I wasn't looking up at the clock to see what the actual average was, but I want to say that it felt like the average must have been 20 bigs. It must have been 20 bigs because there were 2 big stacks which were around like 25 to 30, and then the smaller stacks were around 10. So I'm going to say it was maybe like 18 to 20 bigs average, which is really, really good for a freaking 250 that started at 5 p.m.
For sure. And what time did you finish?
I totally don't even remember.
Okay. But the structures overall, I gotta say, I've been really happy with the structures, at least for the Hold'em in this LAPC. It seems great.
Yeah.
The one days, the afternoon one days, when you get to the end, there's plenty of chips, and people didn't. We
those
saw that first
one
week.
days.
I was gonna say we saw that.
One days are so well structured.
Yeah, I was gonna say the first week we saw a bunch of chops, but really looking through these results, there have been far fewer chops, especially far fewer like many person chops, right? The one that we just looked at, that Saul one with the 4-way even chop, that makes a little more sense to me since those were such regs. Mike, so all these guys you're playing with every day, like a lot of really players are going to really kind of know that they're pretty close to each other. Maybe they want to chop, but a lot of these other tournaments, there've been a lot of play at the end. Mark and that whole event going all the way to the end. Rudy going all the way to the end. No chop in these really big events. Not chopping at the final table with such big money on the line and having play. Wow, that's amazing. And one thing I did from the coverage, I took a look when they were down to their 3 people. The average stack was still 40 big blinds when they were down 3-handed at 1 a.m. That's
40 big blinds.
Yeah, it was 40 big blinds. I'll bring it back up, but that was crazy, right? That's an incredible depth to still right here.
Oh yeah,
there's still 3 people. Yeah, there's still 3 people left, and it's 600K big blind, and the average stack was a little over 24. So
that's insane.
It's almost too good. That's 11. That's 12. That's 13 hours of play. Down to 3 people, 40. I mean, I love it. I love it, but it's almost too good.
It's 30 bigs. That's insane.
So that's
like I don't think people realize like how well structured those 1-day tournaments are. I even said this with the very first one that I played where I finished. I went to DJ. I was like, man, this is like one of the best 1-day like tournaments I've seen structure wise. So give DJ a fist bump for really structuring these things well. Like I haven't even studied them to see why they're so well structured. But you get down towards the end and you have a lot of play left.
Yeah, for sure. That's how I felt last week when I bust out 14th. I felt that way. And another reminder, the other multi-day events, the first 2, they rolled the blinds back to a 6,000 level. This Bounty Multiplier event did not roll the blinds back. This was just straight through regular structure. So even with that, they were still this deep, this late at 3-handed. And so, I know we have been kind of grumbling about rakes a bit high here in LA. Commerce's rakes aren't high for LA, but they are high compared to like Vegas. But at least here we're getting really good structures. At least so far we've been getting really good structures. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I got a lot of stuff in chat here. Frank talking about there used to be a player of the series for satellites. That's interesting.
yeah, they had so many different lists.
Yeah. Adam Kipnis, correct answer, play to wins. Yeah, Adam's always telling me not to chop ever, anything. Xander, please don't murder my face. If you don't want me to murder you in the face, don't win Remington before me. And what if I win 5 before you win 1, Adam? I will murder you in the face 5 times. What do you guys think of slow play on day 2 is from Xander. At my table early on, there were a couple of people that we had to call clock on. I kid you not, like 10 plus times and then an argument. What do you think, Ty?
I mean, if you have a decent stack with the structures being so good, I feel like technically that is a plus EV play. But being here in LA, playing in a sub $3,000 tournament, the table should be trying to knock you out. You should be getting harassed and clock called you every hand. This is LA. We play fast here.
Yeah, and it's fine to speak up with people, like if they're obviously clearly intentionally tanking and they're just not somebody who just is like not sure what they're doing. Speak up and be like, hey, we got a clock here. Things are moving. Things are moving quickly, so you need to start acting a little bit faster. And you can always complain to the floor too, and the floor can be like, hurry the hell up.
Yeah, for sure. The floor tends to be a little less responsive, I guess, if it's not really close to like a bubble or something. I remember at the end of a Quantum Day 1, we had a guy at my table tanking so bad, and I clocked him repeatedly that the floor did start coming over and just immediately, not even saying a warning or anything or explaining it, he just come over and say 10, not just immediately start counting, and he ended up giving him a very short amount of time. And then we actually went hand for hand a couple people earlier than typical in those because he was just tanking so much. So in those situations, that was a great decision by them, and it happens. But I do tend to find that earlier in the day when it's not, an obvious bubbly situation, the floors tend to be a little less intolerant of those guys. But if the person seems to be doing it strategically and purposefully, I really think that the floor should start giving him like straight 10 seconds, 5 seconds, like just like.
Oh yeah, actually, Adam's saying in chat that you can go to the floor and they will usually just reduce the countdown to 10 seconds.
Yeah.
You know what I love was that Gardens has a shot clock, and I kind of wish that more of the casinos would adopt a shot clock. I really liked it, and obviously that still causes some people to maybe bank the entire 30 seconds when they wouldn't have earlier. But it is a really nice addition, and it keeps play kind of going.
Yeah, and at least you don't have to call the floor, and they will eventually run out of the time extensions and whatnot. At least you know what the limits are there. When I'm down to my last big blind, if we're on a pay jump, I won't feel bad burning all those and then busting out. But if it's not, then I'm just gonna, at least I know what is proper or what's allowed, and everybody's aware what could happen, right? And you don't have to be the bad guy calling clock all the time. So I really like that too. I love that they have the shot clocks.
Yeah, I love it.
Xander just says he did stop when the whole table turned against him, so there was a little social pressure there.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like social pressuring people usually will work, and if not, get the floor involved.
Yeah, especially if they're not. They're not like a new player, especially if they're doing it purposefully. But in general, though, these structures, I just want to say again, kudos. Love the structures. The rake may be high, but at least the structures are good. At least we're gonna get to play at the end. And as I think every time I see Mark, he repeats the phrase I said to him back then. I didn't realize it at the time, but after seeing his comment on one of our posts recently, I think he's kind of adopted it as like his battle cry here for these at the end. Every time he sees me, we always say heads up, no chop, no matter what. And he's really embodied that. It's Mark is not your standard. He's not your standard happy to get there, rec player. He wants to win. He's going for the kill.
All right, so I'll be happy to see him at the final table, so we can go head to head.
Yeah. So when you see Mark and you hear that, I think I taught him that phrase. So I may have created a monster. So yeah. The other fun little thing was, let's now talk about, let me really quickly tell you about my Bounty Multiplier. I entered a bunch of times. I busted a bunch of times. I did not get any bounties. I didn't even get to day 2. All right, let's talk about Derek's Bounty Multiplier. I'm going to bring up your little tweet here. So the day before, right? Was this on the very day before?
This was literally the day before. It was Saturday, and I made a very poorly worded joke of a tweet, because what this really is I got number 38 as my ticket for dim sum. I was like 38th in line.
Yeah.
I think some people thought that I busted 30th in the tournament. They're like, "What, did you draw that by yourself or something?" And I was like, "What?"
I thought that was the point, was to fool everyone like that.
I mean, it was kind of a joke, like, oh, like they got me in 38th, but it was supposed to be very clear, like, I'm just joking. This is just for a dim sum ticket. But in any case, so I got number 38 in line, and then the next day I ended up busting in 38th in this freaking bounty pool. Like, can you believe that? And the thing is, I didn't even realize it, right? Like, I was sitting there, like taking a picture of this, like, waiting for the payout, and all of a sudden I was like, oh shit, wait a minute. And then I realized that the ticket was like 38 from the day before. This is so insane. I mean, I feel like this is like one of the craziest things that's like ever happened to me.
I don't understand.
What are the chances?
Exactly. Like, what are the odds that, and you're just unconscious of it? That's just sick. So obviously we know where Derek will be camping out on next Friday morning when he makes it day 2.
Yeah, Ty made a joke that I'm like manifesting this, and like, but now, should I just go sleep over the night before and try to get the number 1 ticket to, get the...
I don't see any reason not to. I mean, the dim sum was good, right?
The dim sum is unbelievable. So this place is called Sea Harbor.
Sea Harbor?
I think Sea Harbor, and it's all the way out in San Gabriel Valley. It's the one that doesn't have the little carts that get pushed around, but you just like, fill out a little thing and they bring the food to you. But it is honestly like one of the best dim sum places, in my opinion, in San Gabriel Valley in terms of like the quality of their food and how they make it. And it was like, and I hadn't been in San Gabriel probably for like 4 or 5 years, but it's still just as good as I remember it. So you should definitely go check it out if you haven't been there.
All right. Well, you may want to camp out, because otherwise I might beat you there. And I might try to
be
stop
careful.
myself.
Go early so your ticket isn't too high of a number.
Yeah. Make sure it's at least the top 18. You gotta get player of the year points.
Yeah.
So I did So I did play.
Actually, but before you keep going, Tyler,
okay,
let's
go
just
ahead.
check chat real quick.
Yeah. Oh, Frank's saying Mr. Patessa is a final table, 7 left.
Oh, nice. Let's go, Anthony.
Yeah, way to go.
Good luck,
I played with him in the one day yesterday, or not yesterday, Sunday.
Yeah, and he was also me and Frank's buddy as we do all our drafts for Game of Gold and everything else.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So
That's
yeah,
right.
good luck.
Or wait, no,
Good
that
luck,
wasn't
buddy.
the one day. What was that? Was the last flight for the Bounty Multiplier. I'm sorry, that's what it was. It was the last
Okay.
flight. The Bounty Multiplier played with him. I
All
hadn't
right.
seen him in a while.
Yeah.
He actually, the very first tournament I cashed in LA, I cashed with him. We played the very first flight of the LAPC. I think it was 2020 or something, and it was they were doing the flights in December. The first flight was in December for the January one, and we were the only two people to cash from that flight. So that was when I met. That's when I met Anthony Patessa.
That's nice.
I know.
Yeah, Anthony's also a really good player.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, he's a great player. Great
Um,
player.
yeah, Frank, who is a Chinese food, Asian food aficionado, is confirming that Sea Harbor is the nut. So yeah, I'd love to hear Frank say that to confirm. So definitely go out there and check out that place. But yeah, it is that line can be offensive sometimes if you go a little bit at peak hour.
And so the last thing I want to know about, I want to hear about is, are you and Xander, are you taking on all Remington bets at this point, or is it just you and Xander? Or like what are the conditions here? What's happening? Is there a bet being thrown down? I think Xander really wants to put a bet down. Are we doing this?
I'll definitely bet Xander. So I think that the problem is if I bet too many people, then there's some point where the odds are gonna be like way swinging. Like there's too many people going for it against just me. You know what I mean?
I guess so. I guess
Um,
so.
but
But
I'll take a lot of comers. I'll take a lot of comers.
well, I'm not. I don't really necessarily want to see money changing hands here. I'm interested in seeing some kind
Yeah.
of goofy humiliation bet. Personally, I don't know what Xander had in mind, but like as a bystander watching this, that's kind of what I'm interested in
Yeah,
here.
a
So
suffering bet. Yeah,
yeah,
Xander, you let
exactly.
me know what you want to bet
I
on.
want to see a
But
punishment
I
bet.
think anybody who bets me has to be kind of at least close to my volume. So if you're like one of the daily grinders of anything, then you're not.
Yeah, must have a weekday job.
Yeah,
Yeah. So all right. So let's see. Yeah, Xander, put that out on Twitter or whatnot. He's willing to negotiate. Let's get a bet down. I want to see a bet down.
yeah. Yeah, but the getting all the way to it was definitely a super up and down day. Like right away, I lost a humongous flip, not flip, queens against jacks, like all in pre, which like crippled me. I was able to grind my way all the way back, and then I lost this ridiculous hand where I flopped top pair in a three bet pot. I had was one who three bet, and somebody decided he was going to check jam ace nine on like 10 8 7.
Mm.
After I had already bet pot, and then he ended up like turning a straight, which is such a like fishy spew of a play, which got rewarded, and I got crippled again.
Yeah.
I was able to grind my way kind of back up, and I got moved to a new table. And I want to talk about that hand that Adam
Oh
played
yeah. Yeah.
against.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so like basically, the other guy, what was his name again?
Oh yeah, I'll find him. He was the fifth place player, right?
Yeah, yeah,
That guy,
yeah, that guy,
James Cilio.
James. So
Cilio.
James and Adam were probably top three in chips, and if not that, definitely top five, right? And this was probably with about 40-ish people left, 45 people left. James and Adam had him covered by just a tiny bit, probably like five bigs, right? And they were probably like like close to 40 bigs deep. They were really freaking deep. So James raised a button. Um, Adam three bets. James jams. Adam calls. Adam has kings. James has fives. And then he spikes a five on the flop. And I mean, it was such a. And then Adam was just standing there shocked. He just could not. Like, he's sitting there cruising with 40 bigs in this event, just absolutely cruising. And then in one hand, it's just gone, just vanished. It was such a huge. And then James just had just
Piles and
unbelievable
piles.
stacks and stacks. But man, that was a really, really painful hand. The thing is, I don't think James did anything bad, right? Like, you have to give Adam some credit. He's a very, very good player, right? He can be definitely light pre-flop, and sometimes you want to take those small pairs and just kind of go for it, right? You're gonna fold out a hands with a lot of equity, like the king queens and the king jacks, right? And then possibly even fold out some pairs that have you beat some of the middling ones that had three bet, right? And then what's left, you're still flipping against some good percentage of the range that calls.
Hmm.
But just the significance of that pot cannot be overstated because it was so huge at the time. But yeah, that was like super painful, and I think I was still probably thinking about the hand when it ended up like eventually busting. But yeah, that was really nuts.
Yeah. So that was in 37th place. So there's only 36 people left in the field after that. So for sure. Let's see.
Yeah,
Adam said it was
got
62
Jesse.
bigs effective.
What? Oh, Adam. Oh, Frank said Adam 62 open jam, thinking he had less. No, I actually think that James open jams. Yeah, I think that James thought that he had Adam covered. I also thought he had Adam covered at the table. So I think maybe we all thought it, and I did not realize it was freaking 62 BBs effective.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
Yeah, it was a humongous. Oh yeah, that's even like crazier, right? 62 Bs pre-flop.
So it sounds
especially with
like James wasn't listening to the show last week when we said you should take a look and ask for a count, but it worked out for him.
You know what? But he channeled his inner Ben Wang, and look what happens, right?
I know.
And we also got Jesse in chat. Welcome, Jesse.
Yep. So the wild stuff you see at Commerce, man, the wild stuff.
Yeah.
And that wasn't even the smaller daily. That was the big boy.
Yeah, this was, I mean, definitely still unbelievably fun event. Big bounties, like people chasing those big bounties in super irresponsible ways, but it made it through a super fun tournament, right? And then just the way that it was structured, man. Yeah, congrats to DJ. That was a really, really super well structured tournament.
Now, a different part of the structure, there was a little bit of chatter online. Our man, was it Jeremy Hamey, had a little issue with the payout structure though, and just one thing I kind of want to say is just you need to remember kind of what you're signing up for, right? So he kind of shouted out and asked the master of these structures. He asked Alan Kessler's opinion. He actually asked Ari Engel's opinion. He was, we talked about before how the difference between having like a flatter payout structure, getting a little more for the deep runs that aren't quite up there, and he was kind of saying, well, if you get 90th place in this thing or 80th place or whatever, and you only end up getting $800 payout or something like 850, it's like that doesn't seem right. The buy-in was 600, but just kind of, I guess, for everyone out there, when you're picking which tournament to play, you need to also have your expectations in line. In that this tournament was very unique. The Bounty Multiplier is a unique tournament. I don't know many other people who do it. It's so top heavy bounty wise, and by that it means getting bounties is worth more than anything. Honestly, it might be worth more than a mystery bounty, because once the big mystery bounty gets pulled, now the average bounty is small.
The average, right? Exactly.
So
it's like so much is put towards the bounties.
Yeah, exactly. So you need to understand you're playing a bounty tournament with a side thing going on, and when you're calculating what a fair payout is, you need to look at that structure and see what amount is going into the prize pool, because that's the part that you use to calculate for the traditional payouts. And in this one, only $300 is going towards the traditional payout. So you really, really need to temper your expectations and think of it, well, if this was a $400 or less tournament, that's the payout you should be expecting for making whatever run you make. And start from there, because otherwise you really are going to be disappointed, to be fair. Because
in a vacuum, you're probably right about the payout, but then for a structure like this, like a quantum or like super like crazy like bounty multiplier and things like that, just note that a significant chunk of the prize pool is coming out, and it's got to come from somewhere. So usually it's going to come at the cost of your min cash.
So we need to you need to be aware, and we'll try to, I think we kind of mentioned it, maybe we quickly glossed over it, but we'll try and point those kind of things out too when we go over these tournament structures and how they look. All right,
Mani in chat. Thank you, Mani, for the shout out and the good pod. I will definitely be paying the 400K this week, and as I mentioned on Twitter, so for everyone listening, this 400K this week, this 40/40 at the Commerce, has a day one on Saturday and a day 2 on Sunday. So this is the worker friendly tournament. These tend to be absolutely huge. I imagine they're going to get probably 400 to 500K just on the Friday and Saturday flights. You know what I mean? So this is going to be a really, really big one, but I will definitely be there probably for the Friday evening flight, and then definitely on Saturday. Well, hopefully not on Saturday, if I can just, make it through in the Friday evening.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember. So the opening weekend, right? The opening weekend was a $400 event, and the double day numbers, right? I think they were getting almost 500 for the first flight, and the second flight was getting just a little under that. So I think they were getting 800, a little over 800 between the two flights on the weekends for that opening.
Are you serious?
I'm trying to remember. I think so, for the $300 or $400 entry. So I would expect this to be a little lower.
Wow.
So I'm with you. I think that I think 500 or 600 people on I think like between 400 and 500 entries on Saturdays is not unbelievable.
Nope,
Friday,
not at all.
Friday, probably similar. Probably be like 300 and then like 150 or 200. Just because
something like that. Yes, I'm expecting like 300K on Saturday and like 200K ish on Friday. That seems about right. But maybe we'll blow it out of the water on Saturday, man. Like, I don't know, like the 600 might be a sweet spot when you think how crazy the 1Ks are,
Yeah.
right? And how successful the 400 is. Maybe a 600 is a super sweet spot.
I mean, how many entries did the Bounty Multiplier get on?
It was a ton, right?
It was a lot. It was quite a few.
Yeah.
So it was definitely more than 400. So it was probably like four something, right? So, and with only one flight on Saturday, maybe it'll be even bigger.
Yeah. Thanks, Monty. Yeah. Hopefully we will sit next to each other again. It was good playing with you, brother.
Is that okay? No, I remember I saw on the one of your posts, someone was kind of giving you the second place high five. Guy who got second place in the opening event. So I was, just
Oh, that
wondering
was
if you had the
yeah.
second place trophy to show us for, if you
Here's the
had,
second
let
place
us know what
trophy.
that looks like.
It's a middle finger. It's a middle finger is what that looks like.
All right.
But yeah, like you know what? Like congrats to the guy who came first. He was a super nice guy. He's telling me about how he's a huge fan of Back to the Future, and like him and his kid like dress up as Back to the Future for like Halloween and stuff. He took a significant chip lead into heads up, and unfortunately I lost Ace Queen against Ace 9 all in pre, which would have probably put the chip lead at about 2-1.
Gotcha.
And although he's a very good player, I'm a very experienced heads up player, so I was really kind of hoping I could win that and kind of grind my way through it. But then congrats to him though. But he played super well.
For sure. Yeah, that's what I love about playing live, right? You get to meet all these interesting, cool people.
Yeah.
All right. So let's unless you had something else, let's move on to the wider world of poker and see what else is going on around the community. So this story came to us from Twitter, of course. It was kind of a big buzz on Twitter the last few days, and it originated at the Wynn actually, but it came up because I believe this guy had a really good finish, right? Final table finish maybe over at the Borgata. Is that right?
Something like that, yeah.
Yep. So his name came up, and then all of a sudden, this kind of popped up. And you want to explain it? I don't have his name in front of me here.
Yeah, so basically, I'm not sure people know Anthony Zinno, but this guy is a very, very successful WPT tournament player. Like he's done unbelievably well in WPTs, and I would actually call him a pretty top tier player when you actually watch him. He's an extremely good player. Obviously, I've never met him and I don't know him, but he just seems like a normal guy. He seems like pretty, on the up and up. And then the story is that basically this guy, Karel Thiuma, left his bag, which had like 20K or something in it, sitting under his chair, and he went on break or something like that, right? Or after he realized that he forgot his backpack, ran back, and it was gone. And then basically security later like contacted him, told him that they found it, but then they had seen Anthony Zinno basically take his bag into the bathroom, right? And then this other guy was saying he's claiming that basically most of that 20K was gone. There was like 1K left in there or something. So pretty nuts. Like this guy, I guess they're accusing Anthony Zinno of basically like stealing this money. It seems like he's saying from his tweets that security basically had him in custody, or the police had him in custody, so it was like maybe like all the way to like some sort of an arrest. So this is a wild story. And
then it looks like he got fourth place at the Borgata just this last month for 200K. So what timing, right? He looks like the accused of stealing 20K, goes over the Borgata, spikes tournament, and the last tweet I saw was that he's actually in Canada now. So
what? No kidding. He fled? Well, he fled the country?
That's the last thing I saw on Twitter. I did no research.
This is
I don't
wild.
know for sure. That's the last thing I saw on Twitter. So kind of a crazy story. You never know what's out there. Just PSA.
Yeah, man.
Be careful with your backpacks, especially if you have your money. I would never put money in something that wasn't strapped to me personally. If you're gonna have your money, do the fanny pack.
I forgot to say this. When I was at the WPT, I had a pretty big chunk of money in a bag, and then I actually left it on my chair and went on break. And what happened was our table broke, and I just forgot.
Oh boy.
Later on, I heard them call me to the. They were like, Derek Kwan. I was like, what? And I went up to the stand. I was like, what did I do wrong? And they're like, oh, you left your bag. And it's like right when he said that, like my like heart dropped. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe that happened. But luckily everything was there, and they just gave it to me. I had to luckily I had like my like a Venetian card on me, so I could like prove my name because of like my wallet and everything was in there.
Luckily, it sounds like the floor got it right instead of some person who checked the bags.
Exactly. So be super careful with your bags, and just keep them kind of locked to your body, and just don't forget if you put them on a chair or something. But yeah, like you just never know what happens, and obviously if you find a bag, just be a good person and just give it to the floor.
Xander took our advice, opened a player bank probably after that nice score he had. Good move, Xander.
Yeah.
Good move, and especially that'll save
Yeah.
you time next time you have a big score late at night doing all the paperwork to set one
Yeah,
up.
exactly. Yeah, and again, if you want to just take a big chunk of it out, just ask for a check and they'll write you a check.
Yeah, yep, that's absolutely the way to get the money back out. Okay,
Yeah,
so
Jesse's saying Anthony, yeah, I'm telling you, man, Anthony Zeno is a top tier player. Like, it's not just his winnings. Like, if you watch his WPT streams, he's obviously like a really, really top tier player.
yeah, so it's so
It's, just,
weird.
it's unbelievable.
So weird. So, yeah, if true, just so strange. You just can't ever predict what's happening with people's finances based on their Hendons, right? It's
Yeah.
another example,
Right.
if true. So
Yeah.
let's move on to something a little more uplifting, right? So many people will know the name Nadia Magnus. She's a really outspoken supporter of growing women in poker. She's very successful
Yeah.
herself in poker. She is giving away 2 World Series of Poker main event seats to a very specific set of people, but the contest is open to women who have 150,000 or less in total live earnings. So of those, she's going to take the top 2 in the GPI Player of the Year rankings. I tried to look up who was winning right now, but unfortunately there's no easy sort on women that I could find on Hendon, so I couldn't do it. But if ladies out there, if you are anywhere close, if you think you're even close, be aware. Maybe grind a little harder if you're getting close. This is nice. This is just a straight free roll. She's been doing stuff like this for years. I remember
she does this
last
all
year.
the
Yep.
time. Yeah.
So
Yeah. She's so supportive of women. So, for all the ladies out there listening to the podcast, and you also see that you qualify for this, give it a shot. Yeah.
yeah, it's fantastic. I love to see it. And you know who else I think I've seen in the past? Some of our, just moved from here pros. If I recall, Elvis Tumis and Baby Shark Christina Gollins were doing stuff like this
Christina
a couple years
Gollins.
as well.
Yeah.
So
They always do really nice things. And also Ben's. I'm not
Yep,
sure if you're
Ben's
familiar with
Ben's
him.
been
But
giving away a lot
also
of staking,
a ton of
Yep.
stuff.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
a lot really cool to see that out there, trying to grow the community, trying to just straight free roll. There's asking nothing back. So nice little uplifting story there. So let's go from that to something a little more sophomoric. The next story we have is, if you are if you watch the Only Friends podcast, you follow Matt Berkey's Twitter, he mostly stays quiet and then just argues with people, seemingly, kind of like old man yells at cloud style. It's just like he comes out of nowhere and it's like starts just shouting at people. Sometimes, for the most part, he seems very logical. I agree with a lot of his points, and then just randomly he'll just start picking Twitter fights. And for some reason, he loves to pick on Jonathan Little. So the most recent one. So before he was kind of picking on John likes to put out a lot of these tweets about like, oh, you need to work harder, you need to study harder, you need to grind harder in the game you're winning, and just put in the work. And he loves to pick on that tweet. Yeah. And then more recently, he decided to go after this one. So John put out this tweet that it is important to realize that when a solver says something is barely plus EV, it's often minus EV for us. And then he goes on to give an example, which he thought would illustrate his point. And he says, hey, people aren't as good as a solver. It may not be good for you to call here because you may not be able to replicate the way a solver plays. And the example may have been poor because Berkey went off on it.
Wasn't great, but I mean, like, the point was just very clear. It's very clear. And many people just came in like, it's super clear what he's saying. And it's absolutely true. And
since then, Berkey has been kind of turning this into a meme. He's been going on and posting more and more, quote unquote, tips of the days, talking about this. Oh, well, what should you do in this situation, and give some facetious advice, right? What should you do with ace king, and give some silly advice? Oh, what about ICM? Well, you should just cash out your chips, right? So he's going really over the top, trying to flame John. Yeah. But you know what? John's always the pinnacle of professionalism. He hardly ever responds. He certainly doesn't do anything to inflame. He just wins, apparently, because pretty much the day after that, like, holy cow, talk about poker karma. Guy's trolling you on Twitter. Next day, he just goes over to the Poker Go studio, ships it. First place, 230,000. Wow, congratulations, John.
And that final table was Alex Foxen, Daniel Negreanu, and another like really, really good like high stakes pro. So that was not an easy.
Yeah, and he had to beat Foxen heads up.
Yeah, he beat Foxen heads up. This was really, really sick. Yeah, Jonathan he's obviously such a nice guy, but then also all his advice is obviously geared towards more amateur players, lower stakes players, and a lot of it is about, mistake reduction, right? A lot of his examples about mistake reduction. So even on the original post, like somebody who I respect, like Patrick Leonard, right? I think he's like one of the best, and especially in terms of theory and his coaching and everything, I think he's unbelievable. He even came in and was just like, I kind of don't know what you're saying here, right? Because basically, if you're saying that you should just do what you're doing here, you should just unreg pre, right? Like don't even play the tournament if you think you're going to be like that far behind in these decisions. But I even think that Patrick was kind of missing the point here. Is that like, yes, your opponents are not going to play perfectly, just like you're not going to play perfectly, but still, in terms of maybe like mistake reduction, it's not a bad idea to fold spots that are super close in EV and just wait for some better ones, right? But it's like you can see both sides. I don't think it's like clearly Jonathan Little's right and everyone else is wrong, and there's a little nuance here and there. But overall, his point stands. If you're like an amateur player, lower stakes, sometimes taking super thin spots is may not going to work out for you because you're not going to know exactly what to do.
Right. No, and I think that you mentioned to me earlier that he put out a tweet saying, all right, maybe this example wasn't quite the best one to use because this is kind of a very plus EV spot, but there are many spots that are 0 or close to 0 or, maybe a mix, but actually a little negative. And those are the spots that he's really talking about, right? And to your point, I really like the pokercoaching.com style of teaching. I really like the content they put out especially for beginners and intermediate players. The stuff that they put out for free, just straight for free, they put hundreds and hundreds of videos out just straight for free, and it's all pretty solid, okay advice for beginning and intermediate players, like you said. And I think that is huge for making things a little more accessible, helping people to, even if it is just lose a little less, but introduce them to concepts that they can dig into more later, right? And get into later. But like a little knowledge can be dangerous,
so many players are very good players, but they also don't know how to coach. Like coaching is a very, very different, like muscle that you have using your brain to help people kind of remember things, right? And if you just overwhelm them with all these advanced concepts, they're not going to remember. So you have to pick things that they are going to remember, like give them like sort of frameworks that they can use. I think Jonathan Little seems like he's really good at that, and some other seem like really good at that, like Faraz Shaka. So actually, Ty, if you're on Twitter, would you mind pulling up my my account real quick?
Yeah. What do you want to find on there?
Yeah, just scroll down a little bit because I actually made a joke about Berkey. Probably, if you just scroll down, you'll find a picture of Pokey. Yeah, and I made it maybe like a week or 2 weeks ago. It's a little bit further down. Yeah, you can see all my funny memes.
Oh, here's Xander.
There's Xander.
Drunk with
chips.
chips.
Yeah, let's look at this one too. Mr. Imposter Syndrome.
Mr.
By
Drunk
the
with
way,
chips. This is what Xander looks like
chips.
after about 5 or 6 bottles of red stacks of chips. You can't even see it. He's got some behind his hand there too.
Yeah, talking about imposter syndrome, man. Like I don't know how many more success that you have to have before you
is there a picture involved in this joke?
Yeah, you'll see a picture of Berkey.
Oh, is this it?
Yeah, here it is. Scroll down a little bit. Who's not police but feels like police to you? And I said it was Matt Berkey because this dude just goes around, I feel like, policing everyone's like words constantly and being super nitpicky about it, super pedantic about it. So I thought it was kind of funny that I made this joke before he did this whole like spiel with Jonathan Little.
Yep. He's just like, no, that's 0.6 of a win.
Exactly.
It's like, dude, relax. Pretend I was using a 0.0, right?
Where were you Thursday
night?
And
I love Berkey, but man, I'm not on his side with this. I'm not on his side with this.
Yeah.
All right. So congrats to John Little. Way to go. He's still out there grinding these Poker Go events. And speaking of Poker Go, they put out a poll here. About would you want a rabbit cam on Poker Go? And I'm not sure what prompted that, but they have a clip. So
basically Chino, Chino got 3-bet with King Jack of Diamonds, and he tanked for a real long time before folding, and he just said, I wish that Poker Go had a rabbit cam so we can kind of see what happens, right?
Yep. He just said he wished
and
he
I
had
think
a
it would be
rabbit cam
fun.
for painful folds. I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the votes are pretty heavily favoring yes here. On our account, on our Roundup account, I voted yes. On my personal account, I voted no. Now, in the comments, there's only 3 comments, I guess. They all are extremely in the yes camp here. So what did you vote for? What did you think?
I just saw it and I actually didn't vote.
You didn't vote?
But I didn't vote.
Come
I didn't even take the
on.
vote. I just watched the video and I think I just like forgot that there was the actual poll there. But I would be supportive of a rabbit cam for sure because I think rabbit cam is like just fun and just like rabbit hunting is generally fun. So yes, I would 100% support a rabbit cam because I think it would bring so much more fun to the streams because you're just like, oh my gosh, like that would have happened if you had called here, right?
Yeah, I remember. I think it was WPT used to have a rabbit cam. They'd have a glass window next to the
Oh yeah,
dealer,
yeah,
kind of like
yeah, yeah,
the blackjack dealers. And when the hand ended, the dealer would slide the card over it, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
I am very in favor of rabbit cams and that sort of thing for the coverage for the viewers at home. They have their RFID. They let the dealer scan the flop face down over the front. I don't know how I
Yeah.
feel about it for the players and for especially not as something that would then maybe spread to the others. So you
Yeah.
always see this in cash games. You always see this in pretty much any games where the players are feel a little comfortable. They're always trying to see that river. They're always trying to see another card. I've seen players in cash games reach over and grab the whole flop and take a peek, right?
Right.
I don't
Right.
like that. I don't like that. I don't know. I don't think that's
Yeah.
good for anybody. Um,
How come you don't
yeah,
like
well,
it?
for one, mostly because I just don't like fun of any kind. I think it's pretty much anything that's fun is going to be something you could angle on or be a rules thing. But no,
That's true.
the
That's
real,
true.
because, well, from an angle point of view, right, you see the flop, you know it wasn't in their hand. But what my main thing is just speed of the game. If I'm in a tournament, there's a clock ticking
Yeah.
down. I don't want you to give a hand funeral. I don't want you to show your neighbor the hand and laugh. I don't want you to like take a minute to be like, you show first, you show first. The second the actions are done, I don't even want to
Yeah.
see the hands. I just want the chips to go to the winner and for the shuffle to be happening.
Yeah.
Right. So that's just me.
Yeah.
Similar thing in cash, just a little less. But the other reason why, honestly, is I think, well, so I'm torn on this. I think if you allowed that, more players would be worse or they would get better slower, right? Same reason that the people who think, oh, well, I always hit the flush draw this or I always hit the flush draw when that happens or this hand always wins, right? If you let people
yeah,
rabbit
you
hunt,
perpetuate that.
yeah, it's the
Yeah.
same thing as like, oh, more people will
Being-
think I should have called. What?
Being
No,
overly results.
you
to be
shouldn't
overly
have called.
results oriented. Yeah.
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 So like for the good of everybody getting better, I think that it'd be good to not have it. It helps them get over that habit a little better. However, selfishly,
Yeah.
I guess I would want it because it will let people, like I
Sure.
said, I think it could honestly stunt a lot of people's growth because they're going to start
Yeah.
thinking, I should have called.
Anytime
I
you
shouldn't have
hear
called.
somebody-
I'm glad I didn't call.
Anytime you hear somebody making some sort of results oriented comment on the table, you already tag them as a certain kind of player, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. But I think you actually made some pretty compelling points because I was solidly in a yes camp just because I just think it's a lot of fun to rabbit hunt and be able to look. But it certainly for sure I knew already that it slowed down the game. But there are a couple of angling things, and then maybe if you take rabbit hunting too far and let's say every single hand people are rabbit hunting, that would be unbearable, right?
Right.
And then if you combine that with perhaps other things that we might think might be fun that actually slow down a game, then the games are no limits already slow enough. So
Yeah,
you don't
yeah,
need to slow it
exactly.
down more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I definitely, one of my pet peeves is just that the tilting things for me are slow, things that are unnecessarily slow, thinking for real, go ahead. But anything where you're just posturing, where it's just slowness for the sake of slowness, where it's slowness for the sake of
Yeah.
making yourself feel better, showing your neighbor the hand for extra 3 seconds. God, I hate that stuff.
Yeah. Frank is saying, I hope you've never been at a table with Jordan Christos.
You know-
I've actually played with Jordan Christo a lot. You know what? It's kind of weird. Like I don't recall him being overly slow when he played at and then this is pretty recent too because I played with him at the World Series at a table. But obviously, I think everyone thinks that he plays too slow. So he probably was just like well behaved. I don't know at my tables and small sample sizes or something.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty well behaved. I was, the other day in the evening flight for the bounty, one of the kids, he seemed like he was a younger guy, was just playing so slow every hand, pre-flop, every action. That was really driving me nuts. But I generally keep it under control. If you're someone I know and you're doing it, I'm gonna give you more flack. That's for sure. But yeah, no. That's why I definitely think it's okay if it's just a quick motion, if the dealer can just
Yeah.
quick slide the card over the thing and then just keep moving on. And for the people at home, it's all entertainment. Let us see it. Yeah, for sure. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm at on that. Okay, well, I've got nothing else. I think it's time for the roundup. You got anything else for us, Derek?
Nope. Let's get to the roundup.
All right, let's talk about next week. So we'll start by talking about the next multi-day tournament that's going to happen at Commerce, because I just want to go over what it is, and then we'll just burn through what's happening this week. So the next multi-day tournament that's going to happen at Commerce is the Year of the Dragon Mystery Bounty. Oddly enough, and once again, this is, we'll talk about this next week for sure, but this is one of those events that's just a real head scratcher about what the heck's up with this schedule.
Yeah.
First off, it starts on Saturday evening. The day two for this 40-40 is Sunday. Why isn't there another flight for the 40-40 on Saturday evening? Right? And obviously to get more flights into this, but like what? And then the day two for this, people pay attention. The day two for this event is on Friday. Okay.
Friday. Yeah.
So Derek, you can't
there
play.
There are no. All the day ones are. There's a couple. At least you can play the day ones on Saturday and Sunday, which is nice. But then the day two ends up on Friday. So that's a rough one.
Yeah. So this one, all the day one flights are in the afternoon, and the day two is on Friday. Once again, that Sunday is in the afternoon. Why not have? They have a 1 day at noon. But if you're trying to push this one, I understand a little more because I'm going to play that 1 day at noon because I don't like this is a Friday day too. So many people can't play that. So anyways, we're going to talk a lot about this next week for sure.
And it's kind of strange too because Mystery Bounty is, I mean, even though you and I don't love Mystery Bounties, like Mystery Bounty is a really, really popular format for everyone. Like probably one of their favorite tournaments. But I mean, I get, Year of the Dragon, you're trying to do it on the week of Chinese New Year. And then obviously on Saturday, Chinese New Year, you might be afraid that people aren't going to be able to play. And then also with Sunday being the Super Bowl, I get that this was an awkward week to land it, but still kind of.
Absolutely.
A little bit of a head scratcher for sure.
It was going to be a tough week to plan a big event, but it's just strange overall. And you know what? I kind of think that DJ decided to prioritize his Bounty Multiplier over the Mystery Bounty, which, is neither here nor there. It's taste. I think that the Bounty Multiplier might be something that's a little bit one of his creations maybe. So that may have played a factor because that's another real thing about it is personally a mystery bounty should be the one with the larger guarantee because you can't the excitement of the mystery bounty is the big bounty.
Everyone loves it.
You can't have the big bounty if you don't have a huge prize pool. And we already had the 500K bounty prize pool and you put it on the multiplier. The multiplier is consistent. Every bounty's the same. It doesn't matter how big the prize pool is so much. So I don't know. I kind of think they should have flipped those around. Like you said, the gimmick of it being on near Chinese New Year is cool, but I just think the mechanics of how Mystery Bounty works this would have really benefited from having the bigger guarantee and being able to be on the weekend for the popularity.
And you know what? Even if you just, technically if you ran the day two on Saturday and you kept it like this, like the Saturday and Sunday opening flights, which we don't love at 5 p.m., at least you're giving the weekend warriors a chance because then they can squeeze in at least a couple of day ones Saturday and Sunday, and then you have the day two on Saturday, right? And they're just going to skip all those ones in the middle. At least you got people a chance, but this almost feels like you squeezed a couple of extra day ones to help working people, but then the day two is on a day where they can't play. It's a little awkward. But anyways, obviously I think even with us giving constructive criticism to the things that we see because we are trying to be genuine with our feedback and our opinions. Obviously we do hope that this at least hits the guarantee and we hope that it's a big success. So definitely go out there and play it if you're able to. Because mystery bounties are always super fun.
Yeah, it is such a popular format. I'm sure they still will crush. One thing about the series so far, huge congratulations. I feel like they've doubled almost every single tournament guarantee. Especially all the really relevant ones, like all the multi days. The opening event was pretty much double. The 44. I think the only one that didn't was the XL that had that day. That had that day two on. Was it Saturday or was it Friday? It didn't have. They had an awkward day two. Right, but
it's really crushing, and it's super exciting to see how they're smashing these guarantees. And I'm kind of hoping, obviously the Commerce is watching this closely because it seemed like DJ had more authority to raise the guarantees. They were higher than normal, but just like we talked about last week, we are in a huge market in LA. Actually, doubling the guarantee means that number one, yes, on the one hand, it's being super successful and people are coming up, and number two, you probably left money in the right? That bounty multiplier probably could have been $1 million guarantee, and you would have beat it. You put a $600 tournament with $1 million guarantee. All the people who did decide not to come up from San Diego were going to come up. People who are a little closer to the local casino didn't want to make that trek are going to come, and then maybe even some of the Vegas people, they can just drive over and crash at somebody's place. They might just come and play that, right? So you're definitely going to magnet a bunch of people with bigger guarantees. So I'm kind of hoping that the Commerce continues to increase their guarantees because there's so much appetite for tournament poker right now.
Yeah, and DJ has high hopes too for the 1K. That's a 1 million guarantee. He put on Twitter. He's guessing his estimate is that that's going to hit 1.8 or more. He's taking
insane.
the over.
Coming from DJ, coming from DJ, that's probably going to be a pretty accurate estimate. It seems really high to me, but it's going to be a big one.
I'm really excited when that comes around.
Yeah. You got Frank saying, you guys probably heard this before, but about a year ago, Paul got a waitress to help him pull the big bounty to win $250K on his birthday. That I think I do remember that.
I saw the video.
Such a Paul thing.
Yep, I saw the video. I didn't know a waitress helped him pull it, but I saw the video. I saw his kick. It was amazing. And then to find out it was his birthday later on that day, that was crazy.
Good for him, man.
All right. So more that's not happening it doesn't start until next the weekend on Saturday. So what about the rest of this week, right? We have all of the 40-40 flights going on. So tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we have noon flights for the 40-40 going on from now through Saturday. And then on Friday in the PM, there is a turbo flight starting at 5 p.m. I am not sure why they don't have more turbo flights at night. I think they'd be very popular. But, like you said, I think Friday and Saturday are going to get a good draw no matter what. I just, I head scratcher. Why not try and make this into $1 million tournament too? So far they've had 98 players. They had 98 players today. They had about 70, maybe 65 yesterday, I think. So right now they're kind of off to, not a slow start, but, it's starting to ramp up. So we've had about 170 entries, 160 entries so far. Tomorrow, I'd imagine it looks like things are ramping up. So maybe tomorrow they'll have 120, something like that, 130. And then who knows, Thursday, maybe they get to 150, 160. And then Friday, Saturday, like you and I were saying, we're really expecting 300, 400 people in those things. So
it's going to be bananas. I actually didn't realize that the mystery bounty was starting a flight on 5 p.m. on a Saturday. That is interesting.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know why you don't just have another turbo for this tournament because it could be huge. And there is a double bag bonus for this tournament as well. In case you didn't notice, that is a $3,000 double bag bonus. Pays out right away.
Wow, that's a big one.
It's fairly large, yeah. Considering it's a $600 tournament, that is a decent double bag bonus. Now, off of what I would consider fair, I would consider 5,000 should be fair, so it's still off of that, but it's much closer than, say, the XL stack was. The XL stack, I believe, was, what was that? I think that was like a $2,000 bag bonus, or maybe even $1,500 bag bonus, and it was far off from what would have been.
Yeah, that was pretty low.
Fair. So that's going on all week. Aside from that, we have dailies going on all these weekdays at 5 p.m. for the $250 dailies. So Derek will be there trying to get a trophy at all of those.
I wish I could play them all.
And then we have mixed games going on during the day as well on all of these days for these day ones. So that's the wrong week. So on the 31st, they will have a triple stud that's going on at 11 a.m., $500 triple stud. On the 1st of February, they will have a toe triple draw Omaha 8 and stud 8. That's $500 starting at 11. On Friday, they will have the game of throws. That's a $500 one-day event starting at 11 as well.
Funny. Yeah.
And then on the weekend, it's all about these multi-days until Sunday. They will have a horse tournament played in the Order of Heroes. That's a 1K. So it's an $1,100 event starting at 11 on Sunday. So that's going to be a big one for the mixed game players, a horse event, a 1K horse event on Sunday.
That's going to be a fun one.
Yep. And then next Monday, they have Omaha 8 or better. It's supposedly a 2-day event, assuming they get enough players. That's also an 1,100. So the mixed games are going to start kicking up in size starting next Sunday.
Wow.
And they're all going to
be,
start being 1Ks. So hopefully that brings out more people.
The Adam Kesslers, yeah.
Yep. See if we can get Kessler in here. So that's what's going on at Commerce for the next week. Unfortunately, at the other locations, we still have the dailies going on down at the Gardens, the regular dailies, trying to build up those points. Unfortunately, Hollywood Park did not have their February schedule out yet, so I can't say what their events are, but take a look at their website when February rolls around. They should be updated by then. And Lucky Lady, it looks like they're just having their regular tournaments, although that may not be the case. You might want to check their social media, their X account going into the weekend if for some reason you want to play somewhere other than Commerce, because apparently last weekend they had a 20K guarantee that slipped by me. It was not on the website when we did our show on Tuesday, so you may want to check in on them. But they typically don't have events like that twice 2 weeks in a row. So it's true. You've been at Commerce a lot, Derek. That's not a bad advice, Frank. There's a lot of COVID going around Commerce. So once again, last weekend I was at tables with people coughing like crazy, and I was very nervous. I was getting away from the table as much as I could. It was a little bit tilting. So
I actually meant to bring a mask and I totally forgot.
They do have masks if you ask. The
oh really?
Those the little kind of paper surgical masks. They do have masks. I believe up by where you would cash out or the alternate if you ask them. Right. So
I only need it if somebody's like coughing at the table really, but that does happen. I wouldn't mind having one.
Yeah. Yep. All right, so that is what's going on. I know what I'll be doing. I will be playing this 40-40, and honestly,
so will I.
Since I have Fridays off, if I'm free, I might take a shot or two at the Mystery Bounty, and then I'll be playing the one day on Sunday. That's my plan. But hopefully, I can just get in on an early flight and kind of relax a little bit. I'm kind of feeling like I'm just having bad luck in these multi-days, so it'd be nice to cruise through one of these day ones.
Yeah.
So that's what we recommend. If you got the money, play this 40-40. It's gonna be fantastic. Looks like a good structure.
Yeah,
it's gonna
that is the event to play this week. That is the event to play this week. Anytime they have that day 1 on Saturday, day 2 on Sunday, these are huge. So the return on your buy-in is going to be humongous, and also super fun. Also, the structures for these have been amazing so far. So I would expect the same here. So lots of play for day 2.
Yep, that is absolutely the recommendation for this week. All right, so that is all we have for you this week. Looks like it's going to be a fun one. Commerce, the week following, we might have kind of a little bit of a rest. They are going to be off for Chinese New Year, so that Saturday there will be no LAPC events the following week. So this weekend, this is the weekend. Get in there, get your gaming on while you can. We will... Oh, yep, Xander saying 40-minute levels are awesome. We will see you next Tuesday, and until then, we will see you at the tables, guys.
See you at the tables, and remember, I will murder you in the face if you win Remington before me.
Man, put it on the vlog. Make sure you at least put